Welcome to the Ambitious Broker Podcast, where elite real estate professionals share their secrets to success, discuss topics impacting their industry, and gain professional development insights. Enjoy today's episode. Welcome to the third and final segment of our three-part series with Stephen Noel. If you missed part 1 or part 2, check them out in the link below. Enjoy today's episode.
Did you pick up a CRM system right away there?
Top Producer. We use Top Producer at the company there at Gable in California. If you remember, we were the beta for Top Producer.
Some of that stuff, yeah.
And I still use Top Producer. My company has tried 3 or 4 other CRMs since I've been here, and I've never left Top Producer. And it's funny because a bunch of the people actually went back to them. But anyway, the point is that, I had that right up front, and it set me apart from a lot of other people in the ways that we did things in California coming here.
So it's just, in your mind, it's just fundamental. It's just fundamental to having a business is that you bury yourself in that thing.
Absolutely. And you have to prospect. Yeah. I mean, I can't say that enough. The fact is that, you may be working and you have, your 2 or 3 transactions that you're working, and that's great. But as soon as they close, if you're not prospecting, you're out of business. You're totally out of business. If you continue to prospect all along, and I have my times during the day that I make my calls, and I don't set any other appointments during that time. If a client says, hey, come over to list my house and, I want you to do it on Thursday morning at 9 o'clock, I'll say, oh, I'm awfully sorry. I have a 9 o'clock appointment. Does 11 o'clock work for you, or would 3 o'clock be better? Okay, alternative choice, all of these different closes and whatnot you would use. But the point is you don't compromise your schedule for that. They don't know the difference. They don't know that you're not taking another listing at 9 o'clock. If you told them, no, I have my prospecting calls to make, they would probably say, seriously? You're going to do that over my listing? But yes, you are. Because if you don't do it, you'll be out of business.
It's another one of those chicken or the egg thing, right? Which comes first, right? The chicken or the egg? It's so the mindset has got to be, prospecting is fundamental. It'll be with me for the next 40 years. But again, when you're early in your career, boy, and you first get the taste of that, someone calls you for an appointment. It's a hard thing to discipline yourself to say, yes, would 11 o'clock be okay because I have a 9 o'clock appointment to prospect.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it really is.
And actually, the client thinks you're busier than you are because you put him off on that 9 o'clock appointment anyway. So it's actually a benefit. You solidified to him that you're more, busier than you are, and that makes a difference. So.
Right. So, how important is the listing presentation, and how much priority in your life has that been? I know that's a funny question, perhaps, but knowing you, and I haven't seen your listing presentation, but I know you well enough to know that there's no wiggle room there. I'm imagining you've got it pretty figured out, and it's pretty structured.
Yeah, no doubt. It's a metamorphosis. It's something that took many years to get to this point. And some of the things are the things that we used 35 years ago are still in there because they're human nature, and it's what motivates people and makes it happen. But my presentation is more centered around the you benefit to the client and listening to what their needs are. So we spend a lot of time on what are you trying to accomplish? What can you do? And then here are the tools why I'm the best person to have you accomplish those goals. To go in and just give the price and tell all the services that you provide is wonderful. But if you don't mold that around the client's needs and what their purposes are and what their requirements, then all you're doing is just talking. And it's important to do that. But mine is very, very structured. And it's something that changes all the time. I mean, we may decide, hey, we're going to do a different type of program, and we're going to change the way we do things. We do a lot of marketing for our clients and whatnot, and you just have to constantly show what the you benefit is to them.
So here's the thing. Do you practice this thing? Do you actually drill and rehearse this? Or was there a time when you would sit home and give your wife a listing presentation or give someone a listing presentation?
The good thing is I got the listing every time with my wife. So that was good. She always gave me the listing.
She wasn't a good, but you did you do some of that?
Oh, absolutely. Practiced it.
You had to practice.
I practiced it with other agents.
So you right. So you weren't going into a listing going, hi, this is a $20,000 salary to me, and I'd like to practice my presentation.
No. You've got it down. Yeah. And I mean, I've got it down. It's pretty much verbatim all the way through on the points that I want to make. But then you back off of that a little bit so you can open your ears and listen to what their needs are. And then you can go back into the presentation and how it benefits them. And then you listen more to them and go to the next point and whatnot. I always try to refer it back to them and their circumstances so that they can see that that's truly what I care about is their circumstances. I know what it takes to sell a house. Okay. That's not rocket science. And the fact is if I do all of these things, it's going to sell. But if I do all of those things and it sells, but it's not what they wanted, what in the heck good did that do? There's no goodwill from that by any means at all. If they truly believe that I cared about what their needs are, that's when they're going to talk to their friends and whatnot, and I'm going to get repeat business from them.
So let me ask this question. The thing I've learned through the years is that, we sell a service. And the thing that's always disappointed me about real estate is that, we're very good at teaching people how to go out and sell their system or their service, but we haven't been really good about teaching the service. And I think, we did a pretty good job at our company in doing that. But the industry at whole, it's funny because if you're an attorney, you go to school and you learn law. And if you're an insurance guy, you go out and you learn insurance. If you're a CPA, you go out and you learn your accounting. And then after you've learned the stuff you're supposed to know, then you start trying to learn how to sell that to people so that they use your service. We sort of skip over that, and we just sort of start selling, right? But what we both know is that over time, as you get involved in more and more real estate transactions, you really start to learn the things that can make people money or lose money. The decision-making around, pricing a house, the strategy of putting the house on the market, marketing to get properties. I mean, then all of a sudden an offer comes in, and when the offer comes in, there's certain things that you over 40 years have developed an instinct for that is really valuable to a client. Things that you can say and do and how inspections get handled and all that stuff. So do you see anybody teaching that, or is this just something that it just takes a lot of years of experience to start learning how to do those things?
It does take a lot of years of experience. There's no doubt about that. But you can learn. You just have to listen. Talk to the agents in your office that are successful and ask them questions. I'll tell you, I have people come to me all the time. I mean, right now with COVID, people aren't in the office as much as they have been. But in past, I mean, I get people knocking on my door all the time. Hey, can I ask you a question? Can I do this and that? That's part of giving back to the business you want to do. But from the young agent standpoint or the new agent standpoint, don't be afraid of asking questions. I mean, go to your broker, talk to them about this. It took me a long time to get past, I don't want them to think that I don't already know this. Well, I don't know it. So, go ask the question.
Right.
There's no reason not to, but I do think it's available. Obviously, resources are out there now with the internet that you can learn a lot of stuff. Read as much as you possibly can about it. But more than anything else, talk to your clients. Just open up that dialogue and let them know that you care. And whatever those questions are, you can get the answers for them. I've said to clients many times when they've asked me a question, I don't know the answer to that. Let me get back to you. I will get back to you today with the answer. Nothing wrong with that. I have to tell you, if I talk to my investment counselor and this guy knows every single thing that I ever ask him, now I'm questioning whether or not it's just a little bit of BS in there. I've got a guy who, is just fantastic. And he will, he asks me as many questions as I ask him. And that's what it's all about. People opening the dialogue.
There's a book I read recently called The Language of Trust. And in the book, he refers to 2008 and when the world changed economically. We had the crash. He refers that to the post-trust era. He calls it the PTE. So everything from 2008 forward, he says no one believes anybody anymore. So he says the new dialogue today what with internet and how people can find information so fast, that the new dialogue today is basically to be as transparent as you can, that everyone knows you're not going to be perfect. And to pretend you are chases them away. And so to your point, I don't know. I'm doing the same thing in some of my businesses. It's like that's a new one. And unfortunately, there's a new one about every third or fourth day that we keep learning because things change so much. So let me ask you this question here. You've been around agents all these years, and so I know that we watch these people who come in the business, and we've got a lot of ambitious brokers, people who aren't icon status yet, like yourself, but certainly want to be. And we've seen agents come and go throughout these years. In fact, our industry turns about 15% a year over. So every now and then you get the feeling that you just want to grab someone by the lapels, maybe make some symbols and just slap them upside the head with the symbols and go, can you please just stop and listen for a second? So when you've gotten a person's attention like that, what is it that you're going to say to that person?
Prospect.
Shut up and listen.
Definitely that. You don't know it all. Ask people. That's what makes good business happen is dialogue. But as far as, what is it going to take for you to be successful? In one word, it's prospecting. It is. It is just staying in touch with people, constantly being there. And I'm not talking cold call prospecting. I'm talking about any contact that you make with any lead that you have or any person that you know, that they need to know that you're in real estate and you're there to help them. And you have to have that innate quality, hopefully, and if not, you have to cultivate it in caring about what that other person is going to do in their life. Because if you do, it's going to come back and benefit, no doubt.
So I got a few more things to talk about before we end, and this is going to be a couple shows now. This is going to be come see the series with Stephen Noel. That's going to be 3 or 4 videos that we break down here because there's so much to talk about, and you've been so good at what you do for so long. What are the difference? What are the changes, the most significant changes you see in the business today, good and bad, compared to the old days, and how much is still the same?
Communication is the same. There's different mediums in doing it. Okay, the internet has given us just an unbelievable gateway to communicating with people. The social media has opened up all of this tremendously. The problem with that, and all of that is wonderful. I mean, it really is. Information is at hand so much easier for us. We've got the ability to to communicate with people on a broader basis and all of that. And that's wonderful. The situation is this, though, that everybody else has that also. Okay. So if you think that, tweeting out to your clients or doing something on Facebook is going to make you the dominant force and the number one person they think of, is absurd. It's just not going to happen because everybody else is doing that. There is something called a telephone, okay, that was invented a long time ago. And the fact is that if you have a direct contact conversation with somebody, it means so much more. It really does.
That's almost true even if you leave a message, isn't it? Just to hear your voice.
Absolutely. I mean, the fact is I call all my clients, like I said, either every 60 or 90 days, depending if it's a current client or a past client. My past clients I call quarterly. My current clients or leads I call every 60 days or more often. I mean, some of them I'm calling every day if they're, super hot leads. But the point is that if I leave them a message and they hear my voice, that means so much more than them seeing, me on Facebook that we sold another house, because they're getting those Facebook things from the 12 other agents that they happen to know. Yes, they've worked with me in the past, which is great, but they've got all these other agents bombarding them with all of this information and whatnot. And the fact is if one of the other agents does it on a daily basis and I'm doing it weekly, well, he's got lots more of exposure and maybe he's going to steal one of these people. However, if I'm calling these people and even leaving a message, but hopefully talking to them most of the time, and quite honestly, I don't mind leaving a message at all. If I make 50 calls, I'm going to be leaving probably 30 to 35 messages. Okay. Most of the people are out nowadays. Years ago, when it was a one income family, okay, mom was home. Nowadays, most wives or a lot of them do work because that's the American way. And we have our things now that we have to pay for. And, that changes the way the family dynamic works, but you've got to stay in touch with these people. And that just having a voicemail from you goes a long way. It truly does.
Yeah. And I think it's important for, again, the ambitious people listening is that you just shot down Facebook and you shot down this internet stuff. However, you use them. Yeah. So your point was, I don't want anyone to I don't want anybody to misunderstand that you're such an old fogey that you're not up with the cool hip stuff. Although you are, but yeah. So the point is, it's got its place. It's just to keep it in perspective.
What I'm talking about is setting you apart from everybody else. If you were the first one to use social media and nobody else had it, oh my God, just think about how you would be, way ahead of everybody else. But the fact is everybody else does have it. What's interesting is everybody had the phone for years, okay, and they used that. But when social media came around, they got lazy. And it's like, oh, this is easy. I can post something on Facebook and hit enter, and it went out to 187 people that I know. Well, that's great.
Right.
The problem is you became lazy in actually staying in touch with the people and letting them hear your voice and letting them hear that you actually are concerned about what their interest is in real estate and their financial future and their portfolio. If I can call a client up on the phone and I know they're thinking about possibly an investment property and start talking to them about the interest rates that are going on and how this is benefiting them and that benefiting them, they're going to listen to that a lot more than they are in a posting somewhere else. It's so important.
I mean, basically, if it's easy and you're doing it because it's easy, everyone else is going to be doing it because it's easy. Everyone's sending emails or making posts. It's cheap. It's non-threatening. You're not engaging with people. So it's easy to do. And because of that, everyone's doing it. So to your point, if you're going to separate yourself from people today, go back to the basic fundamentals. It's what most people aren't doing. Would you agree with that? Would you agree? Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I got two more things before I let you go. And thank you for taking the time. Again, I know that you're busy. So you've been doing this for a long time. You're a really old guy now. You know, your knees are shot. Okay. So now that you're bionic again, so you really could last forever now. But you're not going to stay in the business forever. You're going to, as they say, exit the business. And you've got a strategy for that. And I'm impressed with that. And I think it's a good thing to leave a lot of the people who've been around longer to start saying, you know, how are you going to exit this business? So you explain to us what you're doing and what you think anyone who's been around and have been as fundamentally sound as you should be doing.
Absolutely. Well, this is the second time I'm doing it, because when I left California, okay, as you said, I was, the top producer, had my clientele there that obviously are not going to be buying and selling in Colorado. So what am I going to do here? And I referred it to another top producer in the office, but we really didn't plan it the right way. We didn't think about it. It was a very short period of time, a few months. From the time my wife and I decided to move until I actually moved, I had about a 4-month period there. And we notified all the clients and sent them letters and, golly gee, I'm going to be moving. And this is the person that I want you to, do your business with in the future and whatnot. And that fell on deaf's ear, because everybody has a cousin who's in the business, or their next door neighbor got in the business. And yes, I had a good relationship with them, but they didn't know the person I was referring the business to from Adam. They didn't have a clue who this person was. And unfortunately, and I'm still good friends with that person, but unfortunately, and he will admit it, he did not follow up the way he should have. He didn't grab the bull by the horns and start calling those people as often as I was and reminding them that, Stephen's doing well and I'm here for you and this and that. He didn't do that. And consequently, I received one referral check, one, and that was it. And my business was gone. 17 years of clients were gone. And over the years, I've watched other agents who are, geriatric like me, who are thinking more and more about getting out of the business. I'll go to continuing education classes and see some of these old timers there that are in their 80s and, late 80s and whatnot. And they still have their license and they do their 3 deals a year and whatnot. And I think to myself, are they really benefiting their clients the right way with this? Okay. The clients know they're old. They probably are not thinking the same way. They're not, moving the same way. And I mean, we all get to that point. I'm not quite there yet, but, my kids seem to remind me that, in 11 years, I'm going to be 80 years old. My daughter told me that recently, and I thought, oh, isn't that nice of you? But I decided that in doing it this time, I want to do it differently. And I want to benefit from 43, what will be 44, 45 years of very, very hard work. I want to benefit from that. Why am I handing this over to somebody and getting nothing from it? So in 2011, I hired a guy. He was actually the front desk person at our office. I could tell he was different. I could tell just from the way he communicated with people. He was a people person. He cared about people. Somebody would ask a question and I would hear him say, I don't know the answer to that. Let me get your number. I'll get in touch with that agent and be right back to you and give you. I mean, other people weren't doing this, and I could tell he cared. So the first thing you have to do is, quite honestly, find somebody like that. And it's not the easiest thing in the world. It can be an agent in your office. Right. It could be somebody that is on your staff, maybe as a associate, a buyer's agent, or somebody like that. You have to cultivate that. My partner now, Chris Martinez is his name, and he's just an amazing young man, 36 years old, family man, 2 kids, great wife, just really, really salt of the earth type of person. And he's got the personality and he has the moral makeup of the person that I want. I want somebody who's going to care about my clients more than they care about their own financial well-being. And he happens to be this type of person. I went through a lot of other people to try to find somebody, and I was fortunate to find him, but you have to be diligent in looking for that person. At that point, you're actually going to set up a strategy over a long period of time of introducing that person as somebody who is capable of taking over your business. So again,
you've raved about him for a number of years. So
Chris is a great guy. He is very appreciative of the opportunity that I'm giving him. And in turn, I'm very appreciative of who he is and realizing the opportunity that he's bringing to me for financial well-being afterwards. And you can set
your clients are going to be served well.
Yeah, and that's, Roger, that's the whole point right there, is I want to walk away, okay? And I'm not going to totally walk away. I'm going to downsize my business or my time in the business greatly. My wife and I want to travel a lot. I just bought a big luxury motor home, and my wife and I want to travel all over the place, month or two at a time in places, that type of thing. But nowadays with the internet, I can stay in touch with Chris on a daily basis. We'll know what's going on if he has any questions or whatnot. But eventually, I'm going to wean off of the business and he's going to take it over in total. And we've got it set up where for the first 5 years, I will make a very, very healthy portion of every commission that is made from all the leads that I provide, okay, which is thousands of leads. If Chris generates something, it's his business, and I have no problem with that at all if he generates something new. But right now, about 97% of our business is my business, okay? And he knows it, maybe 95 now, and he knows that. So for the first 5 years, I'm going to get a very, very large portion of the business. And then after the 5 years, I will receive what is a normal referral fee in our industry, 25%. Relocation companies charge 40% more now, but the normal broker to broker referral has been 25% for years and years. So I will get 25% of every transaction for the rest of my life and the rest of my wife's life. This is what we set up.
Wow.
Now, you look at that and you go, wow, that's incredible. And it is. It's amazing, and it could be being an incredible, retirement income coming in. But on the other side of it, it's an incredible deal for Chris also, because he's going to be making a very large portion.
Saves.
Yeah, and then eventually he's going to be making 75% of all of that business. So for him, it's a great thing. What broker out there would not accept, 75 or 100 referrals a year? Even if you had to pay 25% out, or more, why wouldn't you do that, right? Of course. But I've got somebody that I know has not only the Noel team interest in hand, but more than that has the client's interest. And I got to tell you, if you go out onto our website, thenoelteam.com, and read our reviews, I would say that over half of them don't even mention my name. They mention Chris. And, on first hand, you go, well, that sucks. Why aren't they? No, are you kidding? I love it. I love the fact that they like him so much that they will continue doing business with him forever.
Sure. So let's back up now, because I think this is important. And by the way, to your point, Chris has got to be a very special, smart guy, because to actually realize, I get the benefit of a man like Stephen Noel spending 25 years of his life focused 100% on building relationships with people. And those people have got to know Steve, know what to expect from Steve. And so now he's got to say, I got to be like Steve. And this idea that you guys have started this parallel course, how much like Steve has Chris recognize he needs to be, because you guys have been preparing for this for what's been 5 years at least?
Yeah, about 5 years. He's been with me actually for 9 years.
About 5 years.
Yeah, he's been with me for 9 years,
Okay.
but was just an assistant and then a buyer's agent. 2 years ago, I made him a full partner. And,
Right.
made a big splash announcement to everybody around that Chris was my
Sure.
partner. We sent letters to everybody, proud to announce that Chris has made partner. It's interesting,
Right.
a lawyer, an attorney, when they're working for a firm, and you see this on TV all the time, oh, he made partner, it made a big deal. Well, in real estate, nobody talks that way. Well, they do now.
Right.
And all of my clients
Right.
look at it as if we are a real estate firm, and we're doing, with their best interest, like their attorney or their CPA or their financial counselor. We are a team
Right.
of people, and Chris is a very, very strong member of the team. There's no doubt about it. I would say that
Sure. So
he learned so much of the way I do business. And actually, a lot of his stuff is even better than what I've done. I mean, he's really sharp. But in addition to that, it's his own personality. And he's got a great personality. I mean, he's just a really nice guy. And people pick up on that genuinely. And a buyer's agent that we have working for us now, Nicolette, she's amazing. Clients love her. And, our admin people are great and whatnot, but you surround yourself, and my father told me this many, many years ago, Stephen, to be a success, you surround yourself with successful people, okay? If you're going to hang out with, a bunch of, druggies and whatnot, you're going to be a druggie, okay? But if you want to be successful in this business, surround yourself with Roger Hance's. Surround yourself with, people who Greg Smith, who is the broker owner of the company that I work for here, is a very successful, very bright, and always willing to help the associates and letting know what's going on. That's what I got from you. That's what I try to give to my staff. And consequently, Chris is amazing. I mean, he's done a great job. He really has.
So when you guys how much conscious decision have you made on Chris, the value to both of us long term is going to be how much of this can still come back through me to you. So we have to, like you said, when you left California, you got one sale. So you don't want that to happen again. So one is you aligned him, but you're also aligning him to your methodology. And the beauty of you is that, unlike most people in real estate, you actually have a methodology. And so that's an important thing. And that this person taking over starts to learn just your vibe, how you handle people, how you interact with people. And that has to be parallel for a long time, doesn't it? I mean, your people have to start to feel that there's, like you said, a partnership, a team, so that they're not left not knowing this person that you're going to recommend to them.
Absolutely. Yeah, every one of the clients know him now. And we make it a point to do that. As I said, I talk to every one of my clients every 60 to 90 days, depending on the type that they are. Well, Chris is also calling those same people every 60 to 90 days now. And so if I'm calling somebody today on a 90-day schedule, Chris is calling them 45 days from now. And then I'm calling them 45 after that. So now they're getting that. They're getting both of the team, the owners or partners, they're getting them both calling. And that way, when I start dwindling off of that, and I'll go from probably every 90 days to every 120 days to every 180 days. And eventually, Chris is going to be the one who's calling them only and whatnot. And then I will stay in touch with some of the big people that he wants me to.
So to wrap this up and for people to walk away with something, is this a fair summary? For a couple years, Chris was known as your assistant and he learned your methodologies and so forth. And then you introduced him more gradually as he got more involved with transactions. As you took a listing or you had a buyer go into escrow, you would introduce him as an integral part of your world. And then he became a partner. And now your mail pieces have sort of equal billing, or your website will have equal billing. And then he's evolving into getting more involved with your long-term relationships.
Absolutely. And it's interesting.
It's a beautiful formula.
In the last couple months, I've had a couple of my very, very loyal, strong past clients that we've done transactions with, and they actually called Chris instead of me. And I am 100% okay with that. Okay. I mean, like I said, at the first thought was like, well, geez, why did Gary call him? He should have called me. And then I went, hell no, that's exactly what you've been trying to accomplish this whole time.
It's working.
Yeah, it's working.
It's working.
So it really made a huge difference to me. And I'm very, very excited because, again, my attitude has been right from the start that I want to do the very best job I have for that client based on what his needs are or her needs are, not what I think they need. Well, now with Chris, it's become very evident that that's what it is because we've introduced him, and now Chris is an integral part of that. As a matter of fact, I have a goal after I hate to use the word retire because I'll still be around. But when I take my very long sabbatical, let's put it that way, that I actually want to put together a manual or a small book on how this transition, can work and what we need to do or what an agent needs to do to not just walk away from their business, but to build a source of income forever after they leave. And so Chris and I are going to put together this thing from my perspective, but then also from his perspective on things that work and how it's done. And, so we eventually will have this online available to people and whatnot. And, I don't know, maybe NAR will have it because I don't know of anybody else who's even put together anything like this in the past. Most agents, when they get to the point where they're done, they'll talk to an agent in their office and, hey, can I kind of refer things over to you? If they're a big producer, sometimes they try to sell their book of business and whatnot. There was a broker here in Boulder that sold his book of business for $100,000. And the fact is the agent who took it over, I think, did 2 transactions after that. They did nothing. Yeah, it's silly. Because they were not equipped to deal with those clients directly.
I think it's very, very smart. I think it's a great thing to do. I've consulted with virtually every brand name that people know nationally now. And one of the things I see is to talk about teams or talk about, book of business or buy me out. And they're just universally disasters. So I think what you've done is great. I love it. And, so, we have millions of viewers here on Ambitious Brokers. So what they're probably going to do is back this tape up and get your website again, and then probably start bombarding you with questions. So expect that. Yeah. Okay, good. So, all right. So here's the last thing. We're going to wrap up with this. And I've asked you to think about the funniest, weirdest story in real estate. And I've gotten so many that are hysterical. I want to share some of these with people. And so have you thought about that for me? You got a good story for me?
Yeah, and quite honestly, not like some of the ones you told me. Some of them were pretty amazing.
Yes.
Stephanie's was really crazy. But actually this goes back, and this is really more of anything can happen in the business. Literally the very first time I ever showed property, we got a signed call, and I think it was on, it could have been one of your listings, Roger, that I was at Forrest Olson at the time, and a signed call came in, and they have their procedures where they try to get in touch with the listing agent, and you weren't available, or it may not have been your listing. But anyway, this person wanted to see this house up on the hill, a beautiful home. And back then, the MLS, you would call directly to the seller to set up the appointments. That's the way you used to do it. Mm-hmm. So I called and I left a message because nobody answered. And I had talked to my broker at the time, Jack Sisko, who was a great guy. You remember Jack, just an amazing person. Mm-hmm. And he said, no, you left a message. That's good. Just make sure you knock on the door when you get there, ring the doorbell. And if they're home, great. So we got there and I did that and showing the property downstairs and everything. And I actually consciously, I heard water running and I thought maybe it was a toilet that was, was stuck or sprinklers on or something. Well, we showed the entire main level of the house. We got upstairs and the master bedroom was right at the top of the stairs, a beautiful stairway, circular that went up and double door entry. And as a new agent, I thought, I'm going to be dramatic here. So I grabbed both of the handles and I threw the door open and I went, and here's the master. And the wife, the owner, walked out of the bathroom stark naked, and she screams and I scream and the buyer screams. I close the doors. She's yelling at me like you wouldn't believe. We leave the house. And by the time I got back to the office, Jack Sisko's waiting for me there and saying, oh, we got a problem here. Well, the lady called the Department of Real Estate. She called everybody. I did everything I possibly could. I wrote her a letter of apology, the whole bit. It didn't help. Anyway, so the very first time, and I thought, is this the way it's always going to be? I'm going to walk in on naked people all the time It was a pretty strange thing. The very, very first buyer. So, I mean, I think I could probably write a book on other things that have happened and whatnot, but that's just one that sticks in my mind and just kind of weird. So.
Well, there's a lot of follow-up questions to that I'm not going to ask, but yeah. Well, listen. I can't tell you how much I appreciate one, knowing you and having you in my life for all these years, and certainly taking your time out from your busy schedule today, sharing with everybody, and love you, man.
Absolutely. Back at you, and thanks so much. And if I can be of assistance anytime in the future, just let me know. Okay?
You bet. Well, we'll do it. Talk to you soon, and thanks again.
You bet. God bless. Bye-bye.
Be good.
Thanks for listening to our third and final installment of a 3-part series with Stephen Noel. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Ambitious Broker Podcast, where elite real estate professionals share their secrets to success, discuss topics impacting their industry, and gain professional development insights. If you've enjoyed today's episode, please rate it and leave a review.